Kill Blue, episode 3. Oh, yes, you know we got to lock in and get this watch and review on. So, the last episode, Juzo decides to go to this ramen restaurant that he's never tried out. And as soon as he walks in, guess who he sees serving tables? Norwin. So he sits down, enjoys his ramen, and then Norwin tells him, hey, meet me round back. So after the restaurant closes, he meets with Norwin and they have a conversation about why she's working there, and she has sworn Juzo to secrecy, and then they part ways. And then right when Norwin starts heading home, she gets kidnapped, and Juzo sees exactly what happens. He ends up climbing on top of a satellite tower, seeing the van that kidnapped Norwin. He shoots the van in the tail light because his bullets have a tracker on them. So then he follows them to this abandoned warehouse building, and he puts in work. Oh yes, he does. He drops everybody inside of there with his martial arts skills and with them non-lethal bullets that he had in the chamber. So he ends up saving Norwin at the end of the day, and we gonna get into episode 3 right now. Like the video, sub to the channel, and I will get with y'all in a second. So the episode starts off with Juzo, and he is sweating. He is on pins and needles. And you want to know why? Because he is struggling with math. So he goes home and he's having a conversation with Kotatsu, and he's like, Kotatsu, how good are you with math? And he is super enthusiastic. He is like, I suck at it, right? So then Juzo contacts Eri, his ex-wife, to, get her assistance to help him study. And she basically blows him off. She was like, listen, I'm trying to still change you back to normal. I got work at the lab I gotta do. I got housework I gotta do. So I don't think I got the time to help you deal with this X and Y axis thing. And that's relatable because I know I struggled with that in school as well. It took me a long time to get that shit down. So then Eri is like, go ask her teacher. That's what they're there for. So the next day, Juzo goes to the library because he is super prideful. He does not want to go to the teacher because the teacher is younger than him, ideally. And he is still stuck. He can't figure out this math. Full video is uploaded on the channel as we speak. So go ahead and watch the full video. Very entertaining commentary, I would like to say. Oh yes, I am being braggadocious, but let's continue. So Juzo is still in the library, stuck, getting frustrated, head held down, and one of his classmates, Ryo, asks Juzo if he's looking up something, and he sits down and he finds out that Juzo is struggling with math, and he tells Juzo, hey, I guess you didn't get the hang of this in elementary school. You getting confused because now you putting elementary school math and middle school math together. So let's start studying together. So Ryo and Juzo, they're studying day in and day out until quiz time comes, and guess what happens? Juzo makes a 100 on the quiz. So Juzo is emotional, overly excited, and he tells Ryo that he made a perfect score on the quiz, and he just starts thanking him. He starts crying, calling him master, and Ryo is like, master? That's kind of awkward. Then Ryo says, why do you sound like an old man? Because he is an old man. So Juzo and Ryo, they end up going to this cafe. They sit down and they're just talking about their experience studying together. And Juzo is like, man, why are you studying so hard? And Ryo reveals that he wants to become a doctor because when he was really young, his mother died, so his grandma stepped up to the plate. But as of the present day, she's getting really sick, and he wants to do everything in his power to help cure her. So that is his inspiration, his motivation for becoming a doctor. So this nosy ass patron that was sitting behind Ryo and Juzo was hearing their conversation, eavesdropping, mind you, and he stands up with his funky ass laptop and he starts calling Juzo stupid because he didn't understand middle school math, and he was saying that Ryo's dream of becoming a doctor was him being delusional because the percentage of people becoming doctors is really, a low percentage. And he was just disrespecting Juzo and Ryo. And then Ryo just got sick of it and was like, listen, man, I'm sick of hearing your mouth. Thank you for your opinion, but I'm sick of hearing it, right? Well, then the other patrons, now their attention is on Ryo and this particular patron that could not mind his own business, and then they start trolling that patron, talking about mind your own business, those are just kids, what are you doing? And then he gets embarrassed and tells everybody to go to hell and runs up out that cafe. So Juzo and Ryo, they leave the cafe, and Juzo was giving them props about standing up for himself, and then all of a sudden that guy, that patron that they got into it with at the cafe, comes speed down on his bicycle, and he is going to attempt to kick them over this bridge that they're crossing, right? But Juzo already spots him, and he grabs his protractor, and as soon as that guy gets ready to hit them with his bicycle, he throws his protractor at the wheels of the bike, and then he goes flying over the bridge. Yo, Juzo is so cold that when he flipped the dude's bike, his laptop went up in the air. Juzo grabs his laptop and says, hey, don't forget your laptop. The guy grabs the laptop and falls in the water. Yo, Juzo is a pig. His room is a mess. He leaves the living room a mess. Kotatsu was like, dude, clean up after yourself. Juzo was like, I don't know how to do that. Hire a housekeeper or you can become the housekeeper. He's pissing Kotatsu all the way off. So Juzo is at school trying to figure out what club he wants to join, and he's walking past a baseball team, and one of their balls got hit in his direction. So he picks up the ball, and one of the baseball players is like, hey, throw it to me. And Juzo cocks his arm back, throws that baseball so hard it blew the baseball player's mitt completely off his hand. So Juzo and Ryo are talking about what clubs they joined, and Ryo asked Juzo what club he decided to join because he joined the Kendo club, and Juzo was like, maybe I should stay away from clubs. So then Ryo was like, nah, there's gotta be one that you could be a good fit for. So they start going through this little catalog looking thing to decide which one he should join. So Ryo suggests that he joins home economics. I think that's a good idea because I did home economics back in high school, and me and my homeboy was the only ones in there. Nothing but females up in that thing. What a great experience. So then Ryo's older sister walks in, and she's actually in charge of the home economics club, and she basically forces Juzo to join this trial session. And she's like, listen, if you do not show up to this trial session, then I'm not gonna allow Ryo and you to continue to be friends. So Juzo shows up, and Ryo's sister has everybody gather around because they're in the kitchen, and she says, listen, this is just a trial session. You guys are going to make rice balls and miso soup. Now, Ryo's sister is actually Juzo and Kotatsu's housekeeper as well. So while they're in the kitchen, she goes up to Juzo and she says, listen, let's have a contest. If this club turns out to be boring, then I will help do your chores for the next 6 months. But if he enjoys the club, then he has to join the club. So Juzo makes the miso soup and the rice balls, and after the session was over, Ryo's sister goes up to him. She says, so what do you think? He said, it's just okay. Let's just call it a draw, right? She's like, nah, we're not calling it a draw. It ain't over yet. So Juzo leaves. He brings the leftovers. He's talking to Kotatsu about his experience in home economics. And he's like, listen, man, it was just okay. I'm not 100% sold on it yet. So Juzo ends up taking the leftovers over to his ex-wife and his daughter's spot, right? So Eri ends up calling Juzo, and he's telling her that he made it in home economics, and she's like, listen, we both ate it tonight and it actually was pretty good. And Juzo is like, well, I haven't joined yet, and he's super surprised that Eri said that the food that he cooked, that miso soup and those rice balls, were good, because this was his first time cooking anything, y'all. So then it goes to a flashback because Ryo tells Juzo, you need to give the leftovers to somebody else, and if they say that it was good, then you have to join, because you might say it's just okay, but you need to get somebody else's opinion that's not going to be biased. So the next day, he joins home economics. Well, guess who else just joined? Norwin. And of course, she's on her man-hating escapade, and a guy was trying to holler at her, and of course she was chewing him off, and she tells Juzo, hey, keep our secret a secret. It needs to stay that way. And then she walks into the home economics class. So Eri ends up sending Kotatsu an email, and Kotatsu is like surprised. He's flabbergasted, and he tells Juzo, hey, I think we found a cure to bring you back to your adult self. And he's like, what? He says, you have to marry Norwin. And then Juzo is like, what you mean I gotta marry Norwin? So basically, Mitsuyoka Pharmaceuticals, her dad's pharmaceutical company, put out a press release saying whoever becomes Norwin's fiance inherits the company, which means he would have all of the details on that wasp that turned him into a child. So that night, Juzo goes to Norwin's uncle's ramen shop. He eats, he pays her, and he's like, listen, I'm just here for the ramen. I already know you going through some things right now, and I know it's tough for you right now. And then Norwin's uncle tells her that she can leave. So Norwin and Juzo leave, and Norwin is pissed off that her father made that decision to put out that press release about whoever becomes Norwin's fiance inherits the company, because now she's getting pressured left and right. She's so pissed off at her father. She's like, I'm never going to talk to him ever again. Why would he do this to me? She is livid right now. So as Norwin is over here venting, being frustrated, saying all of these incendiary things about her father, Juzo is reading a book, and she looks at Juzo and she's like, you're not even paying attention, you're not even listening. And he's acting so nonchalant, and then she just stops and busts out laughing, and she's like, you know what, these are the kind of friends that I need to have, where I can sit here and say this and say that, and the other friend is just being nonchalant and just being like whatever. And then also Juzo was trying to change the subject, because as she's trying to go off on him, he's like, so about English tomorrow. And she just found that fascinating, and she's like, listen, maybe I should act like this in home economics, and maybe I can make friends that way. And then the episode ends. Listen, this was good. It wasn't a whole bunch of action, but the story, it's about the story, y'all, because to me this is more like a drama more than anything. It's not just a murder, death, kill type of anime. It actually has a great storyline to it. So we gonna get into episode 4 whenever it drops. Don't forget to like the video, sub to the channel, and I'll see y'all later. Peace.